during the debate last night, Newt Gingrich was asked, hey, you got Martin Dempsey, who is the chairman of our Joint Chiefs of Staff, our top general, saying that Iran is a rational actor. If Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, tells you otherwise, who are you going to listen to? Very good question. Let's watch.
If you win this election, General Dempsey would then be your chairman of the Joint Chiefs. If the Prime Minister of Israel called you, said he wanted to go forward and question, sir, do you agree, Mr. President, do you agree with your chairman of the Joint Chiefs? Would you say, yes, Mr. Prime Minister, please stand down? Or would you give Israel the green light?
Well, first of all, this is two different questions. General Dempsey went on to say he thought that Iran was a rational actor. I can't imagine why he would say that. I just cannot imagine why he would have said it. The fact is, this is a dictator, Ahmadinejad, who has said he doesn't believe the Holocaust existed. If an Israeli prime minister calls me and says, I believe in the defense of my country, this goes back to a point that Congressman Paul raised that we probably disagree on. I do believe there are moments when you preempt. If you think a madman is about to have nuclear weapons and you think that madman is going to use those nuclear weapons, then you have an absolute moral obligation to defend the lives of your people by eliminating the capacity to get nuclear weapons.
So think about two stunning things here. Number one, the generals the Republicans who've always been saying, I gotta listen to my commanders on the ground, support the troops, I'm a patriot, I'm an American. All of a sudden, when they doesn't agree with the general and he wants to start a war that the general thinks is ridiculous, he says, oh, of course I'd ignore the general. Who gives a damn what the general says? Instead, and here comes the second amazing part, I would listen to a foreign leader and I would have him dictate our foreign policy. And I would have him dictate whether we should go to war instead of my commanders on the ground. Can you imagine if he said that about any other country? Can you imagine if President Obama said, hey, you know what, who am I going to listen to, my top general or the leader of China? Well, obviously, I'm going to listen to the leader of China. It'd be over, right? It'd be over. How could you got to listen to commanders on the ground? Oh, my God. But you know what? Forget it. China is not by any stretch our top ally. Israel is an ally. So let's use an analogy with a very strong ally, second largest army in NATO, Turkey, right? Strong ally for decades now. If President Obama said, oh, yeah, between my top generals, U.S. generals in our military, or the Prime Minister of Turkey, well, I would obviously listen to the Prime Minister of Turkey. How do you think that would work out? But here he is in a national debate saying, well, obviously I would ignore my commanders. I'd go with whatever the Israeli leader tells me because he's my boss. Amazing. Now, he's not alone. John McCain and Lindsey Graham are in Israel right now. And they were asked the same question. You know, General Dempsey thinks that Iran is a rational actor. You know, how do you feel about this? They just met with Netanyahu. McCain says, quote, there should be no daylight between America and Israel in our assessment of the Iranian threat. The Jerusalem Post says that John McCain basically saying that he does not support General Dempsey. He supports the Israeli government instead. And that quote is him criticizing General Dempsey, saying, he's putting daylight between Netanyahu and us, meaning he's daring to disagree with every single word that Netanyahu says. Like, he doesn't disagree with all the words. He just disagreed with some of the words. How dare you? There should be no daylight. You should agree with everything the Israeli prime minister says. Because, of course, as patriots, we should follow what a foreign leader says. Amazing. Well, that is an unpatriotic position, to say the least.